Hello and assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to talk about the remaining payment methods that were left. Before we have talked about the salary method, the RD method, the RD payment, the bonuses, as well as commissions. Now we're going to talk about profit sharing and performance related pay. So profit sharing. Profit sharing is basically a bonus for staff based on the profits that the business makes. So it's not just like a simple payment method, there's a bonus basically. So it is usually paid as a proportion of basic salary. So it's part of your basic salary, not all of it, but like since say whatever salary you're getting monthly. So profit sharing you'll get a proportion of your salary, like say 10% salary extra. That's sort of a bonus, you can say. It is paid in the form of cash or company shares. Now this is the most interesting part about this payment method, that you won't just be paid with cash, you can also be paid with company shares, which happens a lot in particular cases. So you can just become a shareholder like that. Even if you're an employee, you can just become a shareholder with this method, profit sharing. Shares are offered instead of cash at times in order to establish workers as part owners of the business. So employees here just become part owners of the business thanks to the shares that were being given to them instead of the cash, which is not the basic salary, but actually it's addition to that salary. So it's like a bonus, similar to bonus, but the only difference is that you can have company shares instead of cash. So what are the advantages and disadvantages? Well, the business is likely to attract better recruits drawn by the chance of sharing profits or owning shares in the firm. So if someone knows that okay, this particular business has a profit sharing method, that after reaching some profits they offer you company shares, they offer the employees company shares, so they can become part owner of the business as well as the employee. So such employees would be attracted to these businesses, and there's a better chance of recruiting these employees. As the bonuses are paid out of profits, the scheme does not add to business costs, unlike a normal increase in pay levels. So you don't have to just increase your basic salary or something. It's not something that you do out of your own. The cost, it won't be much costly to the business because you're paying it out of the profits that the business makes, the extra profits that the business makes. Suppose you are making per annually you're making a profit of $1,000. Let's just suppose. So, but this year you will make a profit of, let's say, $1,200. So that $200 is an extra, and you just divide them somehow so that at least not all $200 of course, but some of it is just used as company shares and provided issue some company shares and provided to the employees instead of just direct cash as a bonus, not a basic salary but as a bonus. It can increase the number of shares issued and hence dilute the value of existing shareholders. However, the disadvantages we have to move on to here. So first of all, the point is that profit sharing schemes will reduce profits available to be paid to owners, reducing dividends and to be reinvested in the business, retained earnings. As the example we just gave, that let's say $200 were the extra surplus that you made in before. You made $1,000, but this time you make $1,200, so $200 extra profit you have made. But that $200 you can't just give most of it or all of it to the company shares, because you have owners also need some of it, and you also have to give it to your shareholders. So they will be, if you issue more shares with that particular, with the profits, with the surplus profits that the business makes, then that means that there's less profit left for the owners, which reduces dividends, and there's also less left for investment in the business. You can't reinvest back into the business because you have already given that to some other person. It can increase the number of shares issued and hence dilute the value of existing shares. So since the number of shares issued are increased, then the profit is also distributed accordingly. And let's suppose, I'll show an example to demonstrate that. Let's suppose $200, you make a profit of $200. Okay, that's the profit that you make, extra profit, just say extra profit, okay, which is to be divided into 10 shareholders. Okay, 10 shareholders. So basically, before they have 10 shareholders in this example, so each shareholder will receive how much? let's just say there were 10 shares, so 10 shareholders, so each will receive a share of, let's say, $20, I believe. Yeah, $20 each. Yeah, ignore the difficult handwriting. Like, the typical handwriting is not easy to type on, to write that on the laptop. So yeah, but if there were instead 20 shareholders, okay, if there were instead 20 shareholders, then that will mean that you'll have $10 each. So your value of each share has reduced. The value of existing shares has been diluted, you can say. So that becomes a problem, and of course you'll have to pay more. The ones who are existing employees, they get a little bit of, they are a bit, their profits are being reduced a bit, so they're not too happy with this method at times. Moving on, we have small profit shares paid at the end of the financial year are unlikely to promote motivation throughout the year. So if you know that, okay, at the end of a year you can have some small profit shares or like ownership, it won't be enough to motivate you throughout the year. Maybe some part of year you are more motivated at the, compared to rest, but overall you won't be able to have motivation throughout the year just because of some small profit shares. Even because Taylor's theory was like that if you pay more you'll get a, most employees are money motivated, so if you pay more then they'll be more motivated, but this small payment that is being made at the end of the year is unlikely to make you feel like, it is unlikely to basically motivate you throughout the year. So that's the whole disadvantage of this point. Moving on, we have performance related pay. It can be defined as a bonus scheme to reward staff for above average performance, achieving or exceeding expectations against a set standard. So basically this performance related pay is the most, you can say, favorite topic for examiners in the all of these payment methods. This is the topmost, then they have profit sharing, piece rate system, blah blah, all these come secondary. Performance related pay is one of those topics that examiner ask a lot in compared to all of these like payment methods that we have. This is the most favorite one that the examiner asks, so you have to have a better understanding of this, although there's less chance that it might come again. But yeah, it can be defined as a bonus scheme, as we just said, that it's basically a bonus scheme for awarding staff who have above average information, above average performance. It's not like a simple salary method, it's also a rewarding system, you can say. Financial motivators, that's the proper name for that. These methods, that these payment methods that are used as reward instead of salaries or basic wages, so these are basically financial motivators. So if you have above average performance, like you have exceeded your expectations against a such standard, you will be rewarded for that effort. So that's basically the performance related pay. What is the procedure for it? There's a regular target setting, establishing specific objectives for the individual, which are agreed between employees and the line manager, like sales target, degree of customer satisfaction, etc. A certain target or goals are set, so if the employee exceeds those particular goals, and then like not just exceeds them normally but exceeds them perfectly, or like very overachieved or something, then you can say, oh, wow, he had above average performance since he has overcome his target and he's making more sales than the required sales than the set target. So you can award that efficiently. Then it's easier to understand that, okay, this particular employee had above average performance, then you can reward it. So it's easier to understand if they had, it is easier to measure their performance this way. Annual appraisals of the workers' performance against the preset targets. Evidence is collected on employee performance through observation of employee at work. So you had to observe employees at work, make note of them. If the performance is, if you think their performance is being improving a lot and they are overachieving, but this appraisal thing is annually, as we said that it's annual appraisal of the workers' performance. So it happens just once a year, you can say. So that's not too motivating maybe for some employees. Paying each worker a bonus according to a degree to which the targets have been exceeded. So maximum, up to maximum, they pay 5% maximum, or minimum 0%. What percent is this? This is the percent of just their normal yearly or annually or monthly salary, you can say. So let's suppose you had a monthly or you can say maybe yearly salary as well. Yearly salary can also be understood by this. So let's suppose you had a yearly salary of $3,000, or let's just make it simple, $5,000. $5,000 was your monthly salary. So with this method, if you have made incredible sales performance, you had incredible sales targets, your customers were also satisfied with your work, you just performed over, you just had an outstanding performance. So your employers are very happy with your work, so they want to pay you to the maximum possible, which the maximum part is what, 5%. 5% is the maximum that they can have. So 5% of this will be what, it will be 50, you can say, I believe, $250. Yeah, that will be $250. So $250 you are being paid as a bonus for your overachieved performance. So that's like a huge maybe payment. If you get it once a year as well, that's something good, and good enough to motivate employees as well at times. So let's look at the advantages and disadvantages. Staff are motivated to improve performance if they are seeking increases in financial reward. So if they are, you can say, theory X employees, as McGregor said, that those who are lazy are not responsible, but they just seek satisfaction with money, and they are just money motivated, as Taylor said. So such staff are motivated by this method, and they seek to increase their performance in order to achieve these financial rewards. Target setting can help to give purpose and direction to the work of an individual. So since you are just setting up targets for them to measure their performance, you are not just setting the target for the measuring performance, you are just doing that basically for your own self, to like set up targets so you can understand that okay, you can identify if they have overachieved or not if you had some certain targets. But that's not the whole purpose of the just target setting. You can also, it also provides the worker with a direction and purpose to know that okay, I can do this, they expect so and so of me. Their self actualization means just might be improved by it. Annual appraisal offers the opportunity for feedback on the performance of an individual, but as it tends to occur only once a year, this is not usually sufficient to achieve a key feature of job enrichment. So yeah, that's a little drawback of this method as well. But yeah, annual appraisals are being offered because of this performance related pay. Since employers have to appraise your work, they do give feedback on their performance. Okay, you have achieved good, I will give you 2% maximum for now, but if you achieve better, you can reach the maximum rewards that we can give. Maybe you can reach 5%. And if someone is not doing too well, okay, you haven't done too well, but you just have to at least reach your target sales, otherwise we won't be able to keep you annual, or you will be dismissed or something. So annual appraisal is being offered. Disadvantages, as you can see, there are usually more disadvantages in financial methods. Like past papers mention it a lot, books mention it a lot, so I can't just help it. It can be difficult or costly for the company to establish the appropriate system for awarding PRP. You have to appraise your employees, you have to target setting, there's annual appraisal, you have to observe them at work, and you have to of course pay them as well if their performance has increased. So it's costly for the business to establish the system. It can fail to motivate staff if their needs are not primarily financial. Like, it uses Taylor's view that money is the main motivator. Other motivators identified by Maslow and Herzberg's are simply ignored. So like the self-actualization needs and self-esteem needs, social needs, all these needs are just ignored. Team spirit can be damaged by rivalry if there's a focus on individual performance, which is generally the case due to competitive nature of PRP. PRP has a very competitive nature, so those employees who are overachieved compared to others, they get the reward instead of those. So there's a competition and there's not much teamwork. There's social needs, not much social cooperation as well. It can lead to allegations of favoritism by management, damaging subordinate manager relationship. So if someone is being paid extra money, then other employees might say, oh, he's a favorite, that's why he's being paid. Finally, we have this point can lead to greater works over workers and encourage a controlling type of management, as bonuses may be awarded if workers do not conform. So you can have control over the employees, it can be to control your employees. That's all for today. Thanks for watching and Allah Hafiz.